And the season for the Texas Longhorns will end at Jerry World. As we talked about leading into the game, the loser of this game knows their next opponent is the team that beats them tonight. Texas will be at Ohio State to start next season. Ohio State moves on to face Notre Dame. Final score 28-14 Buckeyes. It is the OB Live postgame show brought to you by the Lowy Law Firm. Shout out to Adam Lowy and his crew for being a great sponsor all throughout the season. Also, shout out to TCH Social Austin. That's where we were tonight for another watch party, 183 in Anderson Mill, the biggest crowd we've had so far. Thanks to everybody for coming out. It was a great crowd. It was very energetic at times, as you could imagine. And then there was obviously one key moment towards the end where it got a lot less energetic. Texas falls 28-14. We'll get into it. I'm Chad Hastings. That's Jason Sukamel. And, of course, that is Jeff Ketchum. Anwar Richardson will join us from Jerry World and give us his thoughts on the game. And, of course, if you want to jump into the chat, you can do that. We did already have a super chat come in. I'm not sure if this is the exact way to start it. JP with $1.99. Brightside Quinn, the choker Ewers is gone.
No more $1.99 super chats at the top of the show.
Yeah,
let's talk about the most important game in the last half generation. And quite frankly, those of you with $1.99 super chats can just keep them.
Yeah, I figured we should throw that one away before we get started. Catch, give me some thoughts on 28-14. It is freshly over. Texas season done.
I mean, at the end of the day, these games, these moments aren't decided by fairness. They're decided by players and who makes the plays and who doesn't. And for 56, 57 minutes of this game, it was pretty airtight. Texas got the ball down into the red zone for the second consecutive year. They've got the ball with 4 shots. Technically, Texas had more than 4 shots this year. But they get the ball inside the 10-yard line with 4+ shots to either tie or win or play for a national championship. Quinn Ewers has a chance for immortality. Steve Sarkisian has a chance to elevate himself into a different pantheon of head coaches in college football. And Texas didn't make the plays. Caleb Downs and Jack Sawyer made the 2 biggest plays in this game when the game was on the line. And there's a lot of what-ifs in this game. What if Holden gets called when Colin Simmons has his jersey pulled on the drive that on 3rd and long, Ohio State converts. They score the game-winning touchdown on a 13-play, 88-yard drive that goes 7 minutes and 45 seconds. And it doesn't likely happen if there's a holding call. What happens if they can score from the 1? What happens if Pete Kwiatkowski doesn't lose his mind in the end of the first half, gift-wrapping Ohio State 7 points? What if? What if? What if?
Yeah.
When you win the game, you aren't defined by the what ifs. You don't even remember them. When you lose, they haunt you forever. And I think what we'll see from the aftermath of this game is that it will, I think, be one of the haunting losses that I've covered in Texas football in the last 30+ years. They still talk about Craig Curry's muff punt in a bowl game that occurred 40+ years ago. We still talk about the Colt McCoy injury from 2010. We're going to talk about Texas knocking on the door at the 1-yard line with a chance again to put itself in a national championship game and failing to be able to do so. There, again, a lot of what ifs, a lot of things you can say, but ultimately Texas wasn't good enough. Ohio State was. I think they're deserving winners in this game. And Texas has to, live with that forever. And, great game. It was kind of everything I thought it would be until the end.
Yeah. Over 1,300 already piled into the Specs chat. Come on in. Give us some super chats if you like. Give us your thoughts on the end of the Longhorn season. Before we get to super chats, Jason, your thoughts on 28-14.
Actually, as Ketch was talking, I pretty much echoed. I think everything he thought I thought. terribly frustrating loss. You get first and goal on the 2. You get a penalty. You get first and goal on the 1. You can't get it in. We'll talk about it. I question the play calling by Sark down there. First and goal from the 1 and second and goal. That was a terrible call. Ohio State, I guess they were the better team. I don't really know that. I didn't watch.
No,
Ohio
you
State.
do. They made the biggest plays.
Well, they made the biggest play in the biggest moment, but Texas gave them a lot of help in that situation too. But I don't view this Ohio State team as some dominant football team the way people were talking about them coming in. But, I'm sitting writing my notes, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, what a great sequence by Sark. What a great play call, that pass to Gunnar Helm. And then he finds, Golden. And I'm like, what a great sequence by Sark to get him right down on the doorstep. And then terrible play calling, terrible execution after that. Obviously, the fumble, return for a touchdown, game over. I'm sitting here writing, and I'm like, hey, man, even if Texas loses this game, Chad, I'm like, they kept battling back. They dig themselves in the holes. Tip of the hat to this Texas team for battling back. But then I'm like, oh, now it's going to end that way? That really sucks. So disappointing, frustrating loss for Texas. Like Ketch said, this will be one that will sting Texas fans, Texas coaches, Texas players for a long, long time. We'll be talking about how this ended for a long, long time. It was there for the taking, but Texas couldn't make the plays when they needed to. They did against Arizona State.
Yep.
They did against Clemson. Couldn't do it tonight. We always said it was going to catch them up to them at some point, and tonight was the night.
All right, let's talk about $50 right now. Thank you, Guy, for a $50 super chat to get us cranked up. First and goal from the half-yard line. Put your 6'4", 220-pound quarterback in and sneak it 4 times. Why pitch it backwards 8 yards? Sark lost that one. He turned a first and goal from the half into a touchdown the other way. It's funny, I mentioned Arch to you at the beginning of that sequence. Catch, did you think of 16 there? Were you thinking, is this something where they may, go to some of that Arch Manning stuff? What were you thinking, especially after that penalty, when it's first and goal from basically the 1 yard line?
It was stupid. In the biggest situation of the game prior to the final stretch, when they needed a yard, they put in Arch Manning, and it worked.
Yeah.
I don't know why you bring in Barron Sorrell and Jermaine Lole and Jarrett Gibson.
Yeah.
Do what you do best. I think Texas got in their heads. Honestly, the moment they got at the 1 yard line, it was like, oh, fuck. This isn't where they need to be. We've seen this. It would have been just as if Ohio State had the ball on the 1 or 2 yard line. And if I would have felt like, oh God, Texas is going to make a stop. They've done it all year long. We know that they've been abysmal at times in the red zone. It is kind of defined this offense for the last 2 years. They came out of last year, and Steve Sarkisian said the thing they spent the entire offseason on was trying to improve the red zone offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said throughout the offseason this summer. What was the number one thing we worked on offense? Got to get better in the red zone. It defined our season in the biggest game of the year against Washington. This season, it never got good. I mean, it was good, but we know that this wasn't an accident. We know that this has happened before. And again, the moment it was first and goal at the 1, I did not think they were going to rush it in. I didn't know they weren't going to make it, right? They had 4 plays.
Right.
But I did not think they were going to run the ball in unless there was like the call I wanted to see was them on first and goal from the 1. I wanted to see them go like empty back set and run a quarterback draw with Quinn Ewers.
Kind of like the 4th down play that Ohio State pulled off. Something
bit,
like that.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it. But quite honestly, I was thinking, why are they not going with the Arch Manning package? And I think it was because, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say it's because Sark didn't want to take Quinn Ewers out and give Arch the moment. But it crossed my mind. I've thought all year long that this quarterback position has been handled with a way of placating Quinn no matter what, especially after the Georgia game. No matter what. Quinn was untouchable. You can't talk about the bad things. You can't talk about inconsistency. You can't talk about the offense struggling, or you're a hater, or you're just picking on guys. And it was like, what are we talking about? The goal is to play the best players in the best situation and win games. And I don't think Texas did the thing it needed to do in the red zone, clearly. It's funny you asked that question. I'm literally in the middle of typing a sentence that says, why did they not play Arch? And
I thought they'd bring him in first and goal from the one. I thought just someone on the super chat said, just quarterback sneak it. Get your big quarterback in, quarterback sneak it. You got 4 plays to get 1 yard. That's ridiculous.
And to Ketch's point, it's not a game where we hadn't seen him. It's not like I'm making that up, right? It is. We'd seen a moment where a 4th and short turned into an Arch play, and why not do it? In fact, what I said to you on first and goal from the 1, Jason, was, is this the moment where if you've got a play where Arch throws that ball, my God,
I didn't think he'd do it from the 1, but
if you fake a ball there, somebody in the end zone's wide open. That's what I was thinking.
When you bring in Lole and those guys, there's no mystery. You know exactly what they're going to do. And then second down, you try to run wide against an athletic, instinctual defense that's pinning its ears back. It was just a terrible sequence.
That is why, and I'm just going to throw this real quick, regular chat up for a second. Dice Hands described the whole game with these words: the blitz and the pitch. Maybe those 2 plays will be what haunts Texas fans more than any other, to catch his point about what might, bug you as you move forward. A lot of super chats already rolling in. Thank you so much for that. Let's go to a 20 spot from Bradley. Someone needs to ask Sark point blank, what the F are you thinking pitching the ball 8 yards deep from the 1? But I bet no one will ask him. And if they do, we would get the old, we need to coach better BS. Bradley, obviously we'll ask Anwar what gets talked about in the post game, but that's an interesting point. Ketch, where would you start with Sark? Do you start with the sequence? Do you ask him about the play right before the half, or do you just go right to that sequencing that we just discussed?
Sark, what the fuck happened in the red zone? That's the question. And
what was PK doing?
Honestly, I don't expect the question to get asked, because every time Anwar shows up after the post-game press conference, I ask him a question about what I think is the defining characteristic of the game, and the media never asks him. Never. It's been
they got to do it tonight.
I don't anticipate a single tough question. I doubt anybody will ask him why they didn't put Arch in. Look, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. They lost the game.
Right. But we'll
spend decades talking about the whys. Sark will never be able to answer that question in a satisfying way. There's nothing he can say that will. It's a little bit like last night in the Penn State game. There's nothing anybody will ever be able to tell me that will make me think that James Franklin made the right decision by being as aggressive as he was in the final 30 seconds of the game.
Right.
85 yards away from his own end zone. There's nothing that anybody could tell. There's nothing Sarkisian could tell me that would make me go, oh, yeah, why would you put it like that? There's just like Pete Kwiatkowski needs to be asked about the single worst defensive call I've seen in 30 years of covering Texas football.
I mean, what do you think they're going to do there? They're going to run a screen or a draw? And you're running a blitz.
Things they can do.
You're on their own 25-yard line, less than 30 seconds. It's first down. That's the only thing they're going to do is screen or draw and get to the halftime, maybe, and hope one of them pops. And you blitz in that situation. They dump it off, and he runs untouched because all your guys are behind him for the most part. A couple bad angles. But listen, I like PK, but I don't know what the hell he was thinking on that call. What if you blitz him and get a sack or a tackle for a loss, what does that benefit you? It doesn't.
It was so rough.
It's just stupid.
We've all seen that sequencing so much. They're going to run a play to see if you can get towards midfield, to see if you can set yourself up for a field goal attempt.
Or a Hail Mary or something.
That's all they're going to do. Run a play to see if they've got anything. And if you stop it, they'll just take it to the locker room.
And look, the execution was terrible. That's the other thing.
Yep.
But when he gets into the clear, you cannot, in that situation, that guy can't get into the second level of the defense and there not be anybody with, like back. There were no safeties to run him down or even pursue.
Yeah, catch. I was trying to figure out, how does Gilbo end up as part of the blitz, and Taft ends up jumping horizontally, leaping to try to catch him as he runs by. How is that possible? Like, who was back?
I need to rewatch that. Did anybody literally get a finger on him, or was he?
I don't think so.
Good grief.
I think it was a teammate in the end zone, was the first person that touched him. I honestly believe that's true. There's a lot of super chats rolling in, and we appreciate you for that. Let's go right to
Guy again.
Yeah, a couple big money amount. Back to Guy, another $49.99. Thank you. That was Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl. Stupid. Wow.
It was. It really was.
Catch, you'd put that up there with not handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch.
It's the college version of that.
Yeah. Now you're talking about the defensive play, that individual defensive play?
No.
You're talking about the play call.
Of it. I'm saying, though, that Texas at the 1 yard line.
Okay.
Not like it just, but yeah, no, the Kwiatkowski thing's worse than that, actually. Because I don't look at that Malcolm Smith play I don't look at what Seattle did as the worst coaching call I've ever seen in 30 years. It was bad. We remember it forever. Like, I know exactly what you were referencing, right? Like, right. But it's not the worst. I mean, I put that up with anything I've ever seen in a Dallas Cowboys game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's Barry Switzer going for it on 4th and 1 from his own 29-yard line against the Eagles in 95.
Oh, that's gross.
Where you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, literally, it's the magnet. And the thing is, it's in such a big game that elevates the magnitude. Someone in my Twitter mentions was like, no, OU last year, 2023. And I was like, that's literally the worst take I've ever heard.
I don't remember.
I told the guy, I was like, that's a shockingly bad take.
I don't remember anything in that game reminded me of tonight.
You could pick anything, and nothing was as bad as that.
Nope. No, I don't remember anything that was on that level.
The Dylan Gabriel scrambles, like it's just not even in the same ballpark.
Yeah. Sandman said Pete Carroll disciple. That's right. Sark is a Pete Carroll disciple.
He is a Pete Carroll disciple. That's true. That is a fair point to bring up.
God, that hurts, actually.
Yeah, that really does. Thank you for that. I think there was another. Yes, there was another. And it's also got Guy. Your 50s are appreciated tonight. Go under center and sneak it 4 times. Sark is an idiot. I mean, I don't know if it's go under center and sneak it 4 times, but it's a better.
I would not have had a problem if they'd done that.
And also, we talked about this, fellas, this whole discussion through the week of how much do you stick with your outside zone and how much do you break it up a bit? But we talked about this. Did you not watch them play Tennessee? Did you not watch them play Oregon? Catch, this is not a defense where you can run the biggest play of the game up to that moment. You can't run the biggest play as a long, delayed pitch to the edge.
There were 5 or 6 guys who could have made that tackle on that play.
I mean, you know what it reminded? It reminded me of when A&M ran the fourth down play at Texas. Everybody wanted to give Ethan Burke credit, but the whole team was there. Mm-hmm. Caleb Downs is the first stud that arrived, but if he doesn't make the tackle, there's like 4 other guys there. It was awful. I mean, that just an awful sequence.
Look, and this is why I know Jason pushed back a little about some combination of the notion that either Ohio State deserved to win the game or that they were better. But they were. Like in that moment, it's the moment that decides the game. It's like that's the way that's the way. And it's funny because most of this game, Chad, I thought about something that you and I had talked about all week long, the NFL playoffs. Mm-hmm. Never has college football felt more like the NFL, where, you know, I'm watching the game as they go into the fourth quarter. Quinn Ewers and this Texas team, Quinn Ewers has a chance to pass Colt McCoy as the number 2 quarterback in the history of the Texas program in the modern era, not including Bobby Lane or James Street or anything that occurs kind of pre-forward pass, or color TV or integration, any of those things. I only say that because Texas was the last all-white team to win a national championship. So,
Yeah.
so since 1970. And because nothing matters other than what you do in the game tonight and in these playoffs. It's Joe Flacco will forever be defined by the Super Bowl run he has with the Ravens. Eli Manning will go into the Hall of Fame because of 2 performances in Super Bowls. Tonight, Texas had an opportunity, man. Quinn Ewers had an opportunity. Steve Sarkisian had an opportunity. And that we were robbed of a 21-21 game with a little more than 2 minutes to go and a chance for that Ohio State offense to go against that Texas defense. Let's see what happens. We were robbed of it because Texas got stupid. Because Steve Sarkisian, again, look, both Sarkisian and his quarterback and the running game and however everybody for the second consecutive year, man, you're knocking on the doorstep of a national championship game, and that's when the worst of your play calling, your execution, your throws. Ewers had been so good in the second half. And then at that point, he just, even on the pass interferences that were drawn, like Ewers looked shaky. It didn't feel like there was a confident throw. It's unfortunate that as a fan, it sucks. I feel for everybody in the chat right now, everybody on Orange Bloods. You invest so much. I think about all of the people I know that go to every game. Forget about $10 a month on Orange Bloods. These people are spending thousands to go to Atlanta, only to turn around and go to Dallas, and they've gone to all of the road games, and you invest your heart and your soul. I think about, there's a reporter out in Dallas named Peyton Yeager who posts on social media all the time, kind of like living and dying. But go back and watch the end of the Arizona State game and look at her social media feeds, and like she's awesome, but kind of a wackadoo and the best possible. But like, to get so close and then stupidity be the thing that defines the whole season comes down to the execution of a few plays. And for Texas to have been as good as they were in the second, really, I thought Sark and Ewers were pretty exceptional from that 2-minute drive all the way through the rest of the game until they were on the 1 freaking yard line. And those 4 plays that occur starting from the 1 yard line will be the only thing that people really remember, when we should remember the 2-minute drive, when we should remember the play that Quinn Ewers makes where he pitches it to Trey Wisner right before his knee hits the down, kind of like that led to the game, the drive, the touchdown that ties the game.
God, what a play. What a play, what a drive.
But you know what? USC fans will look back at 41-38 in January of 2006, and they'll think about all of the plays they made in that game that don't matter because you can't convert 4th and 1, and you don't. And what, God, speaking of Pete Carroll and a disciple, 4th and 1, no Reggie Bush on the field. What is it about Pete Carroll and his disciples that when they need a yard, they kind of don't. It's not what they do best when they need a yard or two.
Yeah. In Sark's defense, he did hand it to the running back. I mean, he did hand it to a couple of them. He didn't do it the right way, but at least he handed it.
Rendell White got the ball.
He did what Pete Carroll.
But at USC, my larger point was USC fans will think back to that game, a game they were winning by double digits in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but we couldn't get a yard, and then we couldn't stop a guy when we knew what he was going to do. Yeah. And it haunts you. We as people who cover Texas or Texas fans or whatever, like, have bathed in the glory of that game. And then you think about the Alabama game and you bathe in the destitution and depression of how that was decided. So Texas fans have seen the best of both worlds, but that's what tonight was for me. It was Quinn Ewers so close to just completely redefining how we remember him forever. And I don't think that happens. I think we'll remember, ultimately, Texas fans in 20 years from now will remember that Quinn Ewers twice failed in the semifinals inside the 10-yard line with almost 10 combined plays in both games to get in the end zone, and he couldn't do it. And look, it's how every quarterback is defined. It is.
Yep.
It is. It just is. It's the position. It is the way they treat the pros when you get into the playoffs. How do you perform? And ultimately, Quinn Ewers finished the night with a
131.7.
It's not good enough.
Yeah.
It's not good
Yeah, I
enough.
was going to say.
And a fumble return for a touchdown.
Yep.
It's not
Tough.
good enough.
Well, and Catch, you like to talk, when you like to talk about it's not show friends, it's show business. And for any team, this is true. But when you are this level of team, when you are this blue blood of a blue blood, you don't base anything on wouldas or couldas or shouldas. It's all about the X's and O's and blacks and whites, and it just didn't happen. I mean, it's all about results. And to your comment earlier, Catch, with what we got last night, with the result we got last night, with the fact that came down to the very end. I understand Penn State didn't finish it, but man, we got a hell of a back and forth all the way. And it looked like we were about to get it again. I mean, we're sitting here at TCH Social, and I'm thinking, wow, if Texas can score here and make it 21-all with 4 left, 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Then maybe you have a chance to let your defense stop and then do what every Texas fan was dreaming of, Will Stone field goal to win. And you got a shot at that, but then it all went away. And I mean, it felt like an eternity, and it also felt like a snap of a finger at the same time. It was wild. A lot of super chats in. We're going to get to them. If you've thrown in a super chat and you haven't seen it yet, just be patient. Colin, $20. All in all, it was a really good year for Texas. Back-to-back 12-win seasons. Quinn was a playmaker tonight. However, last season we won't have a running quarterback. Red zone changes. Future is bright. Simmons is Micah Parsons-like.
So Colin Simmons was fantastic tonight.
Boy, he had a game. If that Colin Simmons tip could have just turned into a Jahdae Barron pick six.
Like Catch said, if they call it blatant, obvious,
they-
out in the open hold on Colin Simmons, they probably don't ever get to 21-14.
Couple of moments. I'm thinking of a play. Was it Ryan Wingo who got that jersey pulled that they just decided not to call PI?
Two games in a row it's happened. Wingo. Yeah.
What is it about Ryan Wingo? It's like that Cam Newton stuff that used to happen in the NFL, or for your guy, Ben Roethlisberger. The bigger they are, the more you don't notice penalties. Come on, man. Just because Ryan Wingo can run through it doesn't mean it's not PI. I don't understand that.
Can I have one little rant?
Yeah, of course.
And you know what? We are 28 minutes into the postgame show.
Yes, sir.
So I haven't really let the officiating crew have it.
Okay.
That ACC crew was an abomination.
They were terrible.
An absolute abomination. Their fingerprints are all over the outcome of this game. And you go back and look at that first touchdown that Ohio State scores on from the 9. There's a hold that they miss on Bill Norton, literally. There were a half dozen holds on Ohio State on critical plays. They just didn't call.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Real quick, Catch. I'm glad you said it about Bill Norton, because I watched that play and out loud asked, what the heck was going on with Norton there? You're telling me he got held.
I grabbed and yes.
Okay. I didn't catch
and because there was now the thing is, there's nobody, there were no linebackers home. I'm not saying Norton makes the play. I don't know. But Norton was held. It was as blatant as the Simmons hold. And
Sark at the podium there, it looks like.
And there was just a lot of that. And the grab,
there were bad calls both ways.
Jersey being grabbed. Those are things that you can see from the upper deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in the end, I've said Ohio State was better. I've said Ohio State deserves to win the game. The officiating crew, honestly, they don't deserve to come within 1,000 miles of a game that ever matters again, because Their fingerprints on this game made the game worse.
Before
their inability to, and I thought about it, I was like, this crew hasn't seen a game with this level of athleticism and speed and talent all season long. They work the ACC. They've seen Clemson. They've seen SMU. They've seen Miami. Matter of fact, someone mentioned that this was the crew that was responsible for a couple of really controversial ACC games. I believe they were. Let me look it up. Let me pull up. I retweeted it. I think it was Peter Burns that posted it, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." But like, the crew was awful. College football has to be better. I feel the same way when I watch the Premier League, and it's like, okay, this is the best that it's supposed to be. Why is the officiating every week a storyline? Why is it terrible? Why can't it be better? Tonight, they should have had like an all-star crew from the like. I don't know. Here in the future, you cannot have a national semifinal called by a Big 12 crew, an ACC crew, or I don't know. Like that crew is not capable of handling that game, and I only say that based. I had no pre-game disposition on the crew. Honestly, I didn't know.
Right. They need to look into, it's a great point, Catch, but look into how do you get there? How do you get to that game? It's a national semi. This isn't a bowl game where they pour mayonnaise on a coach. Like,
It's probably one of their MVP crews from that league.
This was a crew that was involved in both the Duke Miami game at the end and Miami and Virginia Tech.
Oh, see, that's just terrible. So, Catch, let me ask it this way, because I believe there are some games we can't discuss without talking about officiating. There's a Texas-Oklahoma State game people remember with Charlie Strong. Jason,
I'm kind of done. Like, I don't even want to do that anymore. I just had to say that.
There were bad calls both ways. But Texas got more.
I just want to make sure before we move on, Jason, with all due respect, you're a Steelers fan. I believe Super Bowl 40 is one of those games. Seahawks, Steelers. Like, there were some calls I just don't quite get. Catch. Can you talk about this game moving forward without talking about it?
You just lost a friend, by the way.
No, I understand, but
is my headset out? See you later.
But is it that bad? Is what I'm asking you. Is it that bad that you'll never be able to talk about the game without saying something about those officials?
Not for me. That's not what I remember. That's
not what I remember. In 20 years,
not that level.
It's not that level. But
got you. Okay.
And look, if it was that bad, I wouldn't have waited 30 minutes.
That's fair.
To go on a officiating rant.
I got you. No, that's fair.
So, if it was that bad, it would be the only thing being talked about on Orange Bloods. And it's not.
I got you. Okay. Anwar Richardson coming up from Jerry World as soon as the press conference stuff is over. That should be really interesting to hear about.
I know we had a $50 from Oscar.
What they discuss. All right, let me find
Matter of fact, I got it, Chad.
You got it? Okay. I appreciate you. There it is. $49.99. Quinn played his earth off, but Sark screwed us. Take the points, man. Make it 21-17. Oscar, I did not have that exact thought. Catch.
They crossed my mind because
okay.
Because of it was. I mean, fourth and 8
goal from the
Fourth and goal from the 8. What are the? I mean, that's less than a 25% chance of conversion. I would imagine the statistical math.
Once you have done what they did with the sweep play and lost that many yards, my football brain told me the exact same thing, but I didn't think for a second Sark was kicking a field goal.
I didn't either.
Not for a second.
I'm just saying I thought about it.
You thought of it. Yeah. No,
but the other thing is, Chat, you know why you don't kick a field goal there, though?
Is that a guaranteed make?
No, that's not what I was going to say. You still need a touchdown.
Yeah.
You still have to get the ball back and then score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because the field goal.
And if you don't get it, they get the ball in the 8-yard line.
Now, this isn't much different than, I suppose the A&M. It's a little different than the A&M kind of decision making of, hey, take the points and let your defense play and get a little closer. I'm only saying that you can make the case that going forward on 4th and 8, because if you don't get it and you don't fumble, by the way, and have it returned for a touchdown, defense has got Ohio State backed inside the 10, and you get a stop and you still have to score a touchdown. So But
that's the other reason I probably didn't think Sark was going to deal with it. If it's already, say, 21-17 and you can make it 21-20 and then a field goal could win you the ball game, that's a different discussion. I didn't think he was going to even consider. And I don't know if he'll get asked about that, but I bet he didn't think about it for a second.
He's addressing the media right now.
Yeah, boy, that is it's the sweep. I mean, he's got to get. I don't know how specific this media wants to get. Catch your point about the NFL. I would say now that we are to this moment of a playoff in college football, guys like Sark and James Franklin, hopefully they get asked these questions. That's what happens in the NFL, man. In these NFL playoff games, it comes down to small margins, and the NFL media asked 6 straight questions about the same small margin. Because sometimes that's what you got to do. They got to ask about the call at the end of the first half, and they got to ask about that pitch call.
Hey, these coaches and players are making big boy money. You know, they should have to answer these questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oscar, thank you so much for that $49.90.
It's not a sport of amateurism anymore. So
no, right, exactly.
We were joking like how this feels like NFL, and the guys were saying like, well, you have this. I don't even remember what you guys were saying about why it feels like NFL. I go, and the players are getting paid.
And right, yeah, and the players get paid. I mean, yes,
of course it feels like NFL.
It has an NFL.
By the way,
feel.
hey, Anwar just tweeted that he asked Sarkisian about the pressure at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah,
and according to Anwar, Sark said it was simulated pressure, and they had 7 guys back in coverage.
Wow,
and I don't know where they all were.
Not in coverage.
They weren't near Travion Henderson. I know
they
that.
weren't. I know the Texas defense that went out of its way for 60 minutes to not give up anything deep had nobody deep on that play.
No, Travion Henderson would tell you he did not see 7 guys. 1999 from Brian. Sark getting cute at the 1 and PK calling what you can't call to prevent a draw or screen in a big point in the game. They have to own that. Put players in position to win. If you get cute, give Arch run pass options.
I don't disagree with any of it, Brian.
Not a bad idea.
You're right on.
I'm looking at a tweet right now from Bob Ballou.
Yeah.
A video of Michael Taft in like outside the locker room.
Oh no.
Just like screaming in like despair.
Like crying, screaming?
No.
Oh.
Like
pissed off screaming.
Yeah.
It's on the top of my Twitter feed. Here you go.
Oh my God.
Like just inconsolable. That's the face of a guy that will never play another college football game. And he knows it. And he knows what was left on the field. Yeah. I'm sure Quinn might not be that out, you know.
I saw Quinn's in the post-game media, and he looks pretty cool and calm, just like always.
He looks cool and calm.
Yeah, I don't know what he's feeling inside, but he doesn't look visibly upset that I can see.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the toughest, most real parts of that. Those jobs, you got to sit there and talk about it after a game like that, and they will have to eat that. 1999 from Oscar. Sark effed us, man. How do you not kick that field goal? Oscar asking for the field goal there. Another person wanting 21-17. I got to tell you, fellas, the other reason why I may not think of that field goal there is the way Ohio State had gone on. What was it? 11 plays?
13 plays.
13 plays.
Yards.
They had done that to make it 21-14. I
said that. I said, if you don't score a touchdown on this drive, remember, I said, you might not get the ball back because Ohio State might chew up 4 or 5 minutes. So I feel like you had to go for the touchdown there. So I don't know that if you even kick the field goal, you may not get the ball back the way that.
I agree. That drive was impressive from Ohio State. 1999 again from
that
Oscar.
drive only went as long as it did because of a horrible officiating call on third down early in the drive.
That's true. No, that's a good point. Good point. Oscar still on the point. How do you give up the screen at halftime, and why do you not go for a kick on 4th and goal? Why, man? Oscar, we appreciate those super chats. And
by the way, the officiating the Gunnar Helm unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. What are we doing?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What are we doing? Let these teams play.
Catch, it's a semifinal game. I mean, he pointed in a football game. Catch.
Oh, the flag came so fast.
You can't point apparently in a football game.
Meanwhile, on the was it the first play of the game when they're running back and Makuba collide? He's jawing at Makuba and talking
Yeah.
shit. We don't see an unsportsmanlike
Dude,
conduct.
how
there.
great was that moment? By the
I
way,
think it was the first play of the game. I think.
By the way, there is nobody in this game that deserves more credit for wanting to play more than Quinshon Junkins. Quinshon Junkins was ready to play tonight, and when he and Makuba are yelling, that's awesome.
That was Ohio State's first snap, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
And I wouldn't want that called. Like,
hell no. Never crossed my mind that it should be
and-
called. No.
This is a game where a team scored and celebrated with the purple Cobras from dodgeball, and it was awesome, and that shouldn't have been, and that wasn't called.
It's not like he pointed at him and dropped the ball.
Oh.
You know, I mean, he was walking away from
Come
him.
on.
I
He
mean,
could have just as easily been pointed into the stands.
yeah, he saw
It
his mom in the
reminds me of
stands.
when Roy Williams back in like
that was awful.
2001 got called for unsportsmanlike conduct for throwing up the hook'em at a Tulane game.
Silly. At no one other than just the fans. Just say, like, it was a home game, right?
It's just you're looking to throw your flag in a moment when nobody wants you to.
God.
And to be fair, that didn't impact anything. Texas still got to the 1 yard line.
No,
Still had first and goal from the one, but
Jason, I'd have
it's
brought
just
it
more
up
bad officiating.
45 minutes ago if it had been like in the end of like something that
I
decided
get
the game. But
yeah, it's another
just
example of
another
shitty
example of
officiating.
this crew being in over its head.
They're bad. Yeah, they were bad. Chris with a K for 10 on the super chat. What a season. Incredible game. Team showed so much heart, and Quinn played so very well. Ice cold in the third quarter. Night and day from the last game. I'm so proud of this team. Defense lights out.
Is that Chris Boyd?
That is maybe.
No,
Maybe.
saying Chris Boyd starts with a K.
Might be.
You know what? Hey, I said
Can't say that it's not.
Texas won the
Yeah.
Texas won the third quarter. Hey, that's something we haven't seen in a long time, right?
Well, and the fact catch it to make it 14-7 at the half, again, because of that horrible blitz call. That
Non-blitz call, simulated blitz.
Not the
apparently.
simulated blitz. I'm sorry, where they pulled 7 guys back. That crazy coverage.
By the way, I
Because of-
swear I saw safeties in the backfield. So I know where they were. I don't know. Maybe they had defensive tackles in coverage, and that's how they got the 7.
I'm confused on who it was too. But the fact that happened, you gave Ohio State a chance to get to 21-7 coming out of the half. The fact that they controlled that and tied the game was big. But this also was a game for me where 7-point leads were just massive in this game for Ohio State. Texas never had a lead. The ties were fine. And when ties are your only momentum, it's just tough to do business that way. And 7-point leads in this game felt like a little more than that for Texas. They were always having to climb and always having to claw back and scratch back. That was really tough to give up the 14-7.
Hey,
7-all at the half would have been a very different feel for this game.
I'm watching that screen pass, 75 yards.
Yeah.
Watch Makuba. He does bail. They only rush 4.
So how does okay? So I've seen that Makuba is getting blamed for a bad angle in a way.
Holmes was there, but I mean,
Okay.
Makuba bails catch like backpedaling, sprinting back like 30 yards from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, maybe he was the guy. Maybe the idea was that
well, he missed a tackle right there.
Yeah, I think that was. I know some people are looking at Makuba's angle on that play
Oh,
as
he took
the
a horrible
issue.
angle.
But watch, here's
That is
I
the
know
issue.
Makuba. Well,
And he does kind of get lost in that as he tries to get back
The thing
to
is,
it.
you can't have one defensive back and his positioning be the difference between that play scoring and not scoring. We're not talking about them getting into field goal range. We're not talking about them busting off an explosive play. We're talking about them giving up the only thing you can't do. It's like on 4th and 4 when the team's getting ready to punt and you tell your guys, hey, guys, look for the fake. Don't get drawn off sides. You know what I mean? Like, there's only a couple things you can't do. And in a situation where there's less than 30 seconds to go in a half and a team's 75 yards away from the end zone, look, man, I feel like my wife, I don't know if she was watching the game or not, but I feel like very basic football fans, my wife's mom, would go, draw play, screen. You know what I mean? How much football do you have to watch for you not to know what teams do in that situation? Think about Penn State last night at the 15. What do? They run it up the middle, and then after that, like they feel like, okay, now we can get aggressive because we've moved the ball out just a little bit. Like these are just things that watching years and years of football tell you to prepare for. We'll watch, I swear to God, we will watch pro football games this weekend where teams will get the ball back late in the first half. Same situations. We will see them run a screen or a draw play in that same situation. And you know how many NFL teams will blitz or leave themselves in a position where there's no depth that allows, because look, when Henderson gets to the 40, it's over.
Yeah, he's like almost just like, where is everybody? He's like looking back and slowing down. And
he Usain bolted that thing. He geared it down at about the 20, 25. Like he put it into about second gear and cruised in because he looked around and realized, oh my God,
nobody close.
Yeah, I can key down on this thing.
Now, it just you could be in prevent. There's so many other things that you could have been in defensively in that situation. I don't
like prevent when there's 2 minutes left, but when there's 30 seconds left, be in prevent.
Yeah. Well, let's look at a couple quick super chats, guys, because A. Mars had a couple comments on it. $10. He said that was a blitz. McDonald left his assignment in the flat to rush the quarterback. It's an execution error on the player. He also sent the same super chat, but mentioned Gilbo as leaving his assignment in the flat to rush the quarterback.
Gilbo definitely.
It's a player execution error. I didn't see McDonald. I know I saw 3 there. Yeah. Gilbo's definitely there. So maybe A. Mars is right there.
No, it's for that to happen, it takes both. It
takes a village.
It takes the entire village. It takes an incredibly, it takes the worst defensive call and situational setting. Like even Todd Orlando was like, what the fuck is that?
Wow. Yeah. Well,
you know who Todd Orlando was today? Remember, have you ever seen Lord of the Rings, Chad?
I have now. All 3 movies.
At the end, when the ghosts fulfill their honor and they're released of their obligation.
Right. He's done now.
On the ghost's face where he's like,
that's Todd Orlando.
Todd Orlando was relieved tonight.
Oh my God.
He's relieved. He can go to heaven. He can go to football play calling heaven. That has now been replaced.
Man, that was just such a rough sequence to end a half. A lot of super chats that we've got in here. I'm looking for fairly big amounts. Let me hit a $10 one from Hooked on the Horns. I don't mean to sound like an ungrateful fan, but the 5 games we've lost over the last 2 seasons have hurt way more than any of the seasons where we lost 5 or more games.
That's a good problem to have, though.
Hooked.
It's
hooked.
It's good that these losses hurt, and it's not like a few years ago we're like, okay, we're just getting numb to it. So.
Hooked. Don't make Jeff Ketchum and Jason Sukumel go down the list of games and come on now. Come on. Don't do that.
This game.
I get what you're saying, but
these games, the playoff games are different than other games. They just are. There's not a single Dallas Cowboys game really from the last 30 years from the regular season that I care about. But the Des Bryant non-catch, I think about all the time. The Tony Romo fumbled snap, I think about all the time. The
Giants.
What's that?
Don't beat the Giants in 07.
Oh, don't even bring that one up. That one I blocked out.
Right.
But yeah, that's the best Cowboys team of the last 30 years. And what do we remember? That Romo and Witten went to Cabo, and that they in a game where they beat the Giants decisively the first 2 times they played them. They played their worst game of the season against a team that ends up winning the Super Bowl. You remember those things forever.
Right. It is the beauty and the curse of having a real playoff system in college football is now you're going to have to go through what you went through at the high school level and what you go through at the NFL level. Fans, players, coaches, the little things are going to drive you insane because that's what separates games.
Speaking of movies, have you ever seen Friday Night Lights, the movie?
No, I am a Friday nights less person.
Is that the whipped cream bikini?
I've read the book. But I have not.
Blues.
That's Varsity Blues. I have read the book, but I have not seen the movie or the TV show.
Well, first of all, the TV show is one of the greatest TV shows of all time. The movie, though, is really good. And in the end of the movie, what they do really great is, and it's not really based on reality. You know, there's a little bit of storytelling. Like they played Dallas Carter in the championship game in the movie, but it's the semifinals in the book and in reality. But what the movie does a great job of is they get down to the 1 yard line and then don't make it. And then the movie does a great job of depicting the despair of high school kids, like finishing 1 yard short of immortality.
Spoiler alert, Catch. Thanks.
Yeah, come on, Catch.
I'm sorry, the game was from 1988. And it literally is history. It's like watching Jaws and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean? Why did you bring up the USS Indianapolis?
The Titanic sinks? Wait, hold on. The Titanic sinks? Why are you ruining that for me, man?
Hold up. The Titanic sinks. No, it does. Kids, go watch the movie. You don't know if that's true. It might not. You have no idea. All right. we did just get a $49.99 super chat. Arthur, thank you so much. Texas was chasing the whole game, sitting here in Atlanta, hating Texas isn't coming back next week. Yeah, that part does suck, Arthur, trying for the third trip to Atlanta. It was there, boys, after the last decade, as excruciating as the last two season endings have been. Yeah. I'll take them. Gotta run the ball to win chips.
All good points, Arthur. Like I said to the other guy I just chatted, I was like, hey, these losses are going to hurt for Texas fans, but you know what? It's a hell of a fun position to be in. It's better than 5-7 and being numb to just we're just so used to this.
Well,
so
it's to Catch's point. He's right that you don't remember the stuff in the regular season as much. Mm-hmm. Why? Because these games matter. Yeah. These games matter more. Playoffs matter. Why? Because at the playoffs, you can go win a championship. And when you fail to do it, it sucks. When Romo dropped that ball against Seattle, if he does it in game 8, well, who cares?
Like my Steelers, we might talk about kicked out of them tomorrow night. It's going to hurt a lot worse than when they lost to Baltimore a couple weeks ago.
So. I didn't say that. I didn't even kind of say that.
I'm going in with low expectations.
You have feelings of that. By the way, Sark hits the iceberg is rude. In it to Quinn it, that's rude. It didn't even super chat us that one. Come on.
It was worthy of display.
Yeah, real quick, guys. I know it's only a 199er, but if I give you that stat,
crazy. I was going to say it at the top of the show. Yeah.
Holy crap! If I just whisper in your ear,
he got hurt on the first drive of the game and never came back in the game.
1 catch, 3 yards, and I just walk away.
Yeah,
like oh my god, unbelievable.
Yeah. But you know what? They did such a good job on him, and they even did a pretty good job on Ibuka, but Ibuka, excuse me. But Carnell Tate was. They just couldn't cover.
Tate was great. Yeah, he was. He was great. All right, let's check in at Jerry World. Anwar Richardson joining us on the post-game show. Anwar, 28-14. We're hearing some press conference stuff there in the background.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, that's. I can't really. Okay. They've got Ryan Day going on at the same time.
I got you. Okay. So 28-14, Anwar. Obviously, Ohio State gets the win here. What was the discussion in the post-game presser?
Well, I think there was, I'll start with the obvious, right? Which is, of course, Sark's going to say that there's always this word resilience, right? He's going to talk about how resilient his team was to be able to fight back. And, he's always going to, I think he did a good job of trying to put, a ribbon and bow on the whole thing. But I think the meat of what you really want to know is what was his answers to the most important questions, right? The first down and the goal line, and of course the first down stuff, right? I mean that's more important than anything else. What's interesting is, so he says when they get down there on first down, he says that they had a package for Jarrett Gibson, and that's what they wanted to use at that time. And so they go there. He says that they, on the other one, second down, on the sweep, that he said, well, Ohio State had some big guys in there, and made it hard. He says, if they block that, they score a touchdown. But of course they didn't, and so of course they get into that third down, kind of thing. And he said by the time they got to the third down, they were kind of stuck behind the 8 ball. But he said at that point he knew they were going to be in 4-down territory because of the score of the game. And he says he was okay with that. At that time, and he figured that at worst that Ohio State was going to be backed up, and then maybe they'll have one more good, possession with some sort of field position. And then he just describes it as like kind of some unfortunate circumstances that happen, and that's really it. So there wasn't, in these kind of settings, press conference settings, there's not a follow-up question, right? So no one was able to really ask about, well, why did you use Arch or anything to that effect, right? So that doesn't come up. You get your one question in, he answers it, they move on to somebody else. So that was a question by Danny Davis. I asked Coach about the decision to rush after they tied the score 7-7. There's only a few seconds left in the half. What was the decision to go and rush and pressure on that one? He says that they use a simulated pressure. He says they weren't trying to blitz them. He said that they had 7 guys in coverage. He goes and they called a screen. They blocked it well. Got it in the hands of a playmaker. He said Trevion Henderson was a guy that they were concerned about because they knew when he got into open field, he could make plays. But he wanted to clarify and say, like, hey, it wasn't like we were bringing 5 or 6 guys. He said it was a 4-man rush.
It was. I went back and rewatched it while we were doing the show, and it was. Gilbo just being one of them made it look like more of a blitz.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But he said it was a 4-man rush. He said it was a good play call by them. And he said it was only about 24 seconds left. And then he said it did steal some momentum from there, but he did feel like they was proud of how the guys bounced back in the third quarter. So I felt like those were probably the two most important questions that we could start off with before we get into anything else.
Yep, gotcha. Catch?
Nobody asked him whether or not he considered putting Arch Manning and that package into the red zone situation from the 1.
Yes, that's what I stated earlier. Yes.
Which was what?
I said that there was one question asked, and I said nobody asked him about Arch as a follow-up question.
Anwar, I don't really have a question. I mean, I'm more curious about your big picture thoughts.
I mean, you guys have been going for an hour, so this would be the first time I'm getting into it. I think it's disappointing, the result, because it's a game that I'd look at and say it was winnable for Texas. I'll view some opportunities that I feel like they're going to go back and kind of feel like there were some wasted opportunities. Obviously, giving up that touchdown, you get there to 7-7, and still, to simulate a blitz and then still give that up 75 yards. It's almost worse in some regards.
I was just thinking
because if you tell me, hey, we really rushed a bunch of people, that guy just beat us. Well, that's nothing to be excited about or proud about.
Clark said it gave him some momentum.
I was going to ask the question I was going to ask you before I asked the Arch, and I stopped myself because it was so snarky. I was going to ask you, did anybody ask Sark if he and his coaches were aware that with under 30 seconds to go at the end of halves, that teams run screenplays all the time and draw plays and screenplays?
I mean, yeah, there's that, right? So you have that. You have that
Arch question, but I really was policing myself, and then I ended up like one of those Texas reporters that gets called on to ask a question, and I'm like, don't say it. What about Arch? Yeah, sorry about that.
So I think there's that, right? I think that was a wasted kind of an opportunity there, just to go into the half, tied. David Benda gets an interception that they can't capitalize on the David Benda interception, and that's kind of ends up being, I think, another one of those things I looked at as kind of a wasted opportunity. The defense, I think, overall played well. They scored. These two scores happen late, right? And so obviously the score looks a little bit more out of whack. But I thought overall that the defense played well. Clearly, I'm sure you guys have already covered this, but you know, I'm not. You know what? I do have some alcohol at the room, so I probably am okay with having a Quinn conversation. But at the end of the day, no matter what, they realized that something was working, right? And they realized that they were getting pass interference calls on Ohio State that was helping them move the ball down the field. And they literally got to the one. And I think this is one of those things that I think Texas fans are going to remember, because that will be one of these, what the hell was that kind of moments that everyone is going to wonder. If you talk my overall thoughts are on first and goal from the one, you are not running a Jarrett Gibson package. You're just overthinking it at that moment. Like the guy who you've barely have played the entire game. I don't even know if he had a snap prior to that. I just don't know. And by the way, Catch, a guy who, let's just be honest, has had some fumble problems. Like probably not the guy you want to put in on the one, but you do that, you get nothing. And then instead of just saying, you know what, we're just going to slam it down their throat, and this is just going to be man on man. The second play is like, all right, time to get cute.
Yep.
And then he's like, I'm gonna get cute. I'm gonna go in my bag, and we're gonna run to the short side of the field. By the way,
yes, yeah,
the short side of the field. So we're just gonna run to where there's less field to operate. And you're like,
why not just run a jet sweep or something? Like, what are you doing?
And again, now at that point, it's one of the irony of forcing the arch package all year long to then get on the goal line and not do the arch package is just a head scratcher. Like you have literally forced this down our throats to say this is our short yardage package.
And it worked in this game. I mean,
yes,
almost fumbled it, but it worked beautifully in this game once already. I said it earlier on where the first down play, you bring in, was it Lole right in the backfield? Yeah. You bring in Gibson. There's no mystery there. Ohio State knows exactly what you're going to do. Second down, you get too cute running wide on this defense, short side of the field. It was a disaster.
And then at that point, now it's third and obvious, and you're screwed at that point. And then it's fourth, and obvious, and then you're screwed at that point, right? And so, and then I look at another, was kind of wasted opportunity. Will Howard converting on that run. It's just like that. Backbreaker, like that guy shouldn't be the person that's converting something. But
coming
that
out
happens.
of a timeout when you were confused.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Well, you come back into the game in a scheme. I don't know where Anthony Hill was. The only linebacker that I even remember seeing on that play was Maurice Blackwell, and he got completely washed. And that was another. In the big moments, Ohio State made the plays, and Texas made bad coaching decisions and bad execution. And you know what's interesting, Anwar and Jason? If you think about it, I think the thing that's most perplexing about the goal line package, and Anwar, we've already talked about this, but out of the Washington game from a year ago, Sark told us throughout the offseason that improving the red zone execution was their single biggest off-season goal. It was the thing they worked on more than anything. They get into that. That was that first and goal from the one. If you think about it, that was the first time Texas was in a goal line situation, like in a first and goal situation. So those were Sark's best plays. Sark got first and goal from the one, and it sounds like this is what he told Anwar. Like, hey, man, we were prepared for that. Like, this is what we wanted to bring in Jarrett Gibson, and this was what we wanted to do. What Sarkisian is telling us with his words, we were not on the field. And with what he did was, in the biggest game of my life, that's the best goal line play I have from first and goal at the one. And from second and goal at the one, my next best play is getting cute and pitching it to the short side of the field and not blocking it worth a damn And basically that lost the game. I mean, they were throwing desperately in low percentage execution situations from the 8. It's mystifying that in the moment of the biggest moment of Sark's coaching career, his best play was Jarrett Gibson, who hadn't carried the ball all night. And defensive linemen came on the field that hadn't been on offense all night. And that he called a pitch on second down that they hadn't called all night. And, and then Quinn Ewers, who had been so good in the second half in really important critical moments, those last 2 plays, he never looked comfortable. They never came close to executing a play. And those were their best plays on the goal line. That they practiced those all week. That was those were his best plays. And I feel like we're going to come out of this offseason and we're going to hear Sarkisian say for the second straight year that their big emphasis in the offseason was to improve the red zone on offense. And look, man, Sarkisian is the reason why this program's the only college football program in the country to go to the semifinals 2 years in a row. He's the only reason why this program is in a position to do future things. They could be back in the semifinals next year. Like, he's been so great. It's amazing to me that the thing he's renowned for the most is the thing he failed the most horribly at, specifically in this game. But you could make a case that the red zone has been one of their issues for the last 2 seasons. Their season ended last year with the exact same thing, getting inside the 10-yard line and having 4 plays to potentially go to a national championship game and not being able to execute. And it was that reality that led them to work on the red zone the entire offseason. And then in the biggest moments of the season, they weren't any good in the red zone. And
last year was frustrating. This year you had 1st and goal from the 1. Oh, I mean, God.
Well,
you can't ask them anymore.
Shame on you. Fool me twice. What the fuck, man?
I don't think that's quite how that saying goes. Something along those lines.
Yeah, right. By the way, let's grab a Hyundai here from Barb's 10. Great to see you tonight, Barb's 10.
God damn it. Hold on. Let me mute myself. I thought they had stopped. Hold on.
Okay. 4 points. 1, no Quinn slander. He's why the game was up for grabs. 2, losses on Sark and PK. Ohio State didn't work Texas like a Motel 6 headboard, as all media predicted, despite the score. 4, Jeremiah Smith, who, thanks DBs, appreciate the TCH. Yes, it was a good time, other than the obvious, at TCH Social Austin tonight.
TCH watch parties, fellas. Yeah, OB for life. Barb's, good to see you, dude. Always good to see you out here. Now, Barb's, we're going to hold you. You were going to treat me and Anwar to some drinks for March Madness at TCH. So we're going to remember that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Not forget that one.
Get you guys out here for a little basketball. There you go. All right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we talked about, Barb's, Sark and PK getting a lot of heat, and this one has not been focused on your quarterback tonight specifically. I think that's
what's interesting. I get a little bit of the PK heat for maybe what happened maybe before the half. Overall, the defense played well. I mean, I don't think the defense looked bad. I don't. From my perspective, I wouldn't necessarily give PK a lot of heat. They just had an offense that just that struggled against this defense, and they had a defensive line that that was really active. And at the end of the day, it's interesting. One of the things I was listening to them talk about on the Ohio State side is that they're calling that 83-yard fumble recovery by Jack Sawyer one of the most iconic moments in Ohio State history. They're saying that that's going to be the thing that people remember for years and years to come. It will be the thing that's replayed, in Ohio State lore. Like, and Ryan Day was talking about, there's legends that were made in this game that people from Ohio State is going to remember forever. And that probably will be. There's an irony
joke against Notre Dame. Go Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, you know how it is. I mean, even there's still some guys who could come around Texas and not buy a beer, right? So I mean, you have that, right? So in Sawyer and Quinn were actually roommates in Ohio State. So there is some irony there. They were really good friends, and that's what happened. So, but anyway, when they say, the defense, I in PK, I'm like, I don't
It's
know.
down the list for me. Like they gave up
it's way
21
down.
points. The defense gave up 21.
The first
Like
drive,
that's-
not good. That one play, not good. The rest was pretty damn good.
Yeah, and obviously the play from Sawyer, I mean, it's big time. Anwar, you covered the Bucks, and we talked Bucks plenty of times. It had a little Rondé Barber against the Eagles feel to it. A close game that that ultimately is decided by this badass defensive play. Game's over at that point, and you go on to a championship. That's the play I thought of as I'm watching Sawyer and thinking about what have I seen?
Reference.
What have I seen that reminds me of it? And being a Bucks fan, I'm like, that's what it was. It was Rondé closing out Veteran Stadium with that run back. And it was an incredible play. Not just get there, not just disrupt it. He takes it all the way. And,
I guarantee you, for whatever it's worth, like once we get to Texas versus Ohio State this upcoming season, Texas fans are going to get tired of seeing that play because they're going to show that week all the weeks leading up, and of course you won't get enough of it on game day.
Yeah, the only good news is Sawyer's a senior, so it's not like he'll be in the game. But you're right, Anwar. They're going to show it. They're going to show it a lot. All right. Lots of super chats still in here, and let's see. I'm just looking there. There's the amount I was looking for. Little 20 spot from DAP fan. Sark needs to watch film from Urban Meyer's play calling for a young Tim Tebow in the past using a backup quarterback. Arch to run or jump pass at the goal line would have been the move. DAP fan, I wasn't thinking jump pass, but we've all been thinking throughout the year, are you ever going to run Arch with the idea of maybe getting a pass situation off?
What's crazy? I don't know what Ketch heard, but the thing that I had heard going into this game was that we actually might see that Arch, diversity that they haven't shown before, and like this was going to be the game. And so I was waiting for it. I was like, it is. If there ever was a play action time, this would have been it, because it's been obvious run. It would have been
not there. You can throw it out of the back of the end zone, and your second goal from the one. And
from that spot, somebody at the watch party guys had the idea of what if you put Arch in and try the old, Uncle Peyton naked bootleg, like just there's a lot of things you could do, and you'd make a defense think. If you go first and goal with the one and you put Arch Manning in there and it feels really aggressive versus, as Ketch laid out, the three elements you put together at the first and goal, it's just so weird that that's how Sark, of all people, that he thought that was aggressive, that he thought that would feel quick and badass and cool. And that just, I say it all the time, that just wasn't damn cute enough for me. That wasn't too cute. That was just not near cute enough.
The thing is, to that point, like the one thing that always happens in the offseason is that Sark will go and hire some badass defensive, analyst, that was a former coach or assistant coach or something like that. He doesn't necessarily go after a badass offensive analyst to run some things by. And it probably wouldn't hurt for him to find someone that could be on staff. That it's always about defense. And it's always about, let's help that side of the ball, right? Let's bring in a Gary Patterson, right? But it probably wouldn't hurt to just have someone just to bounce something off of.
Yeah, they've done it with defense, and they've even done it with special teams. But
teams, but he never does it with offense.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Got to do it on your side of the ball, especially when your side of the ball ends the last two seasons this way. He's shown he's willing to keep asking questions and evolving and moving forward. So maybe, Anwar, that's an interesting idea for maybe another step. Sark really needs to, relinquish play calling next year. Yeah. Kudos to him for rebuilding the team. He's clearly a good CEO and he knows what he's doing, but he needs to realize he's a hindrance offensively. Fellas, for anything we could talk about, I don't think CEO is something that even needs to be discussed or Sark wants to talk about. I mean, come on. We're not going that far.
Who is he going to relinquish it to?
It's never going to happen.
Come on.
Like who Texas. Are we expecting AJ Milweed to call plays at this moment? Like who is going to be the play caller?
Yeah.
Ernie Zampese? Like, what are we doing?
Dad bod.
Who are you gonna, I mean,
that.
by the way, guys, there's still like 25 super chats. I know there are a lot of people in the chat who are like, I put send a super chat like Esron. So upset and worried that we're not going to get to a super chat. Esron, have faith in us. Buy or sell. Our red zone struggles go away next year because of Arch's mobility. I'll sell. I'll believe it when I see it.
Agreed.
I think it'll help, and I think Arch's ability to be a power runner will help. Will they go away? I don't know. I'm not ready to.
I mean, but here's the deal. Here's why I'll say it won't go away per se. He's not. Sark doesn't want a dual threat quarterback. That's not who he is. That's not what he does. The Arch package was to appease him and to keep him active, so he just wasn't doing anything all year long. But I find it hard to believe that all of a sudden now he's going to utilize a dual threat quarterback. That's not who he is. Arch will be the typical drop back passer, and if he creates plays, it's probably going to be with his legs, but it's not good. It's the thing that Sark has talked about, where he's talked about, Arch is good, but he tried to use his legs too much, and we don't want him to do that. That's the challenge.
By the way, I think Anwar just gave us a preview of the discussion points next year. If something goes wrong in the red zone, Anwar, they'll say, should have run Arch. You threw with him too much. That'll be what it is. If you're right, that'll be the critique. It'll be, why aren't you designing plays to let him run? Let him use his feet. That's what's coming. Esron, thank you for that. Again, a lot of super chats. We will get to them. We promise. We will do it. Let me just pick a couple here. How about a 5 spot from Jerry? Game lost, second down, Wisner play by asking him to make Ohio State level athletes miss on the edge when he barely makes any miss. Ohio State pinned their ears after that. Jerry, we talked about that play plenty. The fact that it's on the short side, I even forgot that detail. Anwar, thank you for adding the extra layer onto that, because it is extra dumb when you run that play on that defense to the short side. At least run it to a wide side of the field where maybe you can find the edge, but I had forgotten that detail. That's so sad. $9.99.
That was Sarkisian's second bet. That is, I'm telling you, they worked on that play all week.
Anwar said that Sark said if they would have blocked it better, something like, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But there were literally 5 guys around the ball carrier there.
I'm telling you, guys, they worked all that play. That was like, I know we want to think that Sark got into the red zone. It's a little bit like the point Anwar made about, it's almost more worrisome that you're telling me that you didn't blitz, because where the fuck were everybody in coverage to make the plays? That they spent, I promise you, in the very last, they probably yesterday in their warm-up in the Cotton Bowl went through their red zone plays, and I guarantee those were his best plays. He spent 9 days thinking about, what are my best red zone plays if I get goal to goal, if I'm inside the 10-yard line and it's short yardage, what are my best plays? And Sarkisian came into this game, Jarrett Gibson jumbo package was his favorite best play, and then that pitch to Wisner to the short side. They must have run that play 20 times in practice this week, and that's and him telling us, like, that is more worrisome than actually what happened. It's like, it's not like that he came in and it's not that he came into that situation and blinked. It's that they got into that situation, and that's what they spent all week preparing for. And then it felt like basically the 2 worst calls they could have made. So had it been a jump pass, had it been something a little creative, you'd have went, oh, okay, that they saved that. That was special. That, as it turns out, there wasn't anything special. Those were 2 incredibly average plays. It's an incredible indictment on Sark for all of the positives. For him to have told us all year that the red zone was the thing that they spent the entire season working on, and for the season to fall short because of the single most atrocious set of red zone play calling that we've seen all season, isn't just ironic. It's dispiriting ironic. Like, it will cause Texas fans to question whether Steve Sarkisian should be their play caller. Think about how bad it has to be for fans to want to get rid of a guy that I think 95% of college football fans would say, oh my God, if that guy was running our offense, what a dream that would be. It's just mystifying. Like, I'm dumbfounded by the notion and again, he didn't tell Anwar in the media that he had an idea. Like, that was what they prepped for. That's what they felt right about. That's what they wanted to do. And we're sitting here talking about what on earth were they doing? And the answer is exactly what Steve Sarkisian thought was the best thing for them to do.
Chris with the 9.99. Sark lost the game on the second down play call. Chris, it has certainly been mentioned a lot in this postgame, and we are not done mentioning it, I'm sure. Let's see. Blake with a 4.99. Explain to me how Cam Williams is projected for a first-round pick. There were, couple penalties tonight for Cam?
I know one.
At least one I'm thinking of.
The worst obviously was getting beat on that fourth down play. Like, that was, the one that resulted in the touchdown. Like, I mean, he got beat bad.
Yeah, because that pressure comes all the way from that side. Yeah. That's a long way for that.
He
for
did
Sawyer
not make money tonight.
that is.
No, he's got to be at the point where there's got to be I think, Catch, if there's a conversation to be had about, like, hey, Cam, you might want to, that kind of like a Jade conversation of you might want to come back.
He's going to be a first-round pick. He just is. I talked to I had an NFL scout text me during the game, and I was going to post this on Orange Bloods later. It doesn't matter now. And I sure as hell not going to post it tonight because it's a take that would put people on tilt. But he was at the game, and he was standing next. He said he was standing on the field next to Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks. And he sent me a text, and he was like, Cam Williams is fucking beautiful. He was like, he's standing next to Kelvin Banks. And from an eyeball test standpoint, there's no question off the hoof who you would want to take with the first, like, in front of the other guy, just by looking at them. Now, he wasn't saying that Cam Williams is better, because I've had a conversation with him about both of these players in the past, but he's a big Texas fan. He was at the game tonight, and he was just marveling at Cam Williams' size, his ability to move. He's a top 5 tackle in this draft, and he's going to go pro. Like, he just will. And Jahdae Barron wasn't a top 5 corner in last year's draft, or a top 10 corner, or a top 15 corner, or he probably would have went pro, because that probably would have put him in the top 3 rounds of the draft to be somewhere between 10 and 15 on the cornerback list. That'll get you day 2. And he wasn't a day 2 guy last year. So I feel you, Anwar, but because Cam Williams was awful tonight. And look, if I can be honest, the worst play he made tonight was jumping off sides 10 seconds before a ball was about to be snapped. The elephant in the room on the false start is that Texas wasn't anywhere near snapping the ball. He just can't help himself. He has to jump off sides once a game. And what a mystifying player. As good as he's been, boy, was he wretched tonight. And you know what? In retrospect, Trevor Gooseby would not have played worse than Cam Williams tonight. Like, maybe they both get their ass whipped against the guys that Ohio State kept running at them. That 44 is a badass. Like, I'm not mad at Cam Williams because he's not better than that guy. But it's like, Cam, there were like 10 legitimate plays where it was like, Cam, really? Tonight you're doing that? Just one of them things.
All right, going through these super chats. Matt with a 9.99. Back to the Pete Carroll discussion. From taking Reggie Bush off the field to a shotgun toss sweep from the 1 is on par for Sark. We've seen this also from his mentor, Pete Carroll. Yeah, the play calling being discussed in the big moments. And Matt, it was mentioned earlier, the Pete Carroll stuff. That play, the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, also got brought up as well.
The Marshawn Lynch one.
Yeah, the lack of Marshawn Lynch play in Super Bowl 49, I think is the number right there. This is, oh, wow. Let me try this one. Tajuddin. It's a great name. Tajuddin. $10. That goal line stand shows that C.J. Baxter was missed all season, I'm assuming.
Maybe.
I don't know. That goal line
here crossed my mind.
Here was the other situation, guys. Did the game you'd seen up to that point, first and goal from the 1, did Jaden Blue maybe deserve to be on the field?
No, I don't think anybody was scoring either of those 2 run plays.
If he's going to show you that, though, you have thrown
I would have
ball
given the ball
him.
to Jermaine Lole in that situation before I would have given it to a running back. They were not lining up against Ohio State from the 1 and smashing.
Right, but
literally they're like the 2 defenses have made reputations all season long for, if you get them in that exact situation, you are not plowing through them.
Yeah, but catch what I'm saying is it's a game where this guy had caught a touchdown. I'm saying if you're going to have a running back in the game, make it Blue because it gives you more options.
Not from the 1. I don't mind having Blue on the field because as I said, what I would have done on first and goal from the 1 in my head as it was happening, spread the field, empty back, Quinn Ewers on a quarterback draw, or spread the field, empty back, Quinn goes under center since we saw that, and Quinn tries at least a sneak on first.
Yeah, the empty set idea. I really like that idea too. The Par Seeker, aren't we all? $9.99. Buy or sell the 4 years of goal line and short yardage struggles. Starts with the center and 2 guards not being able to drive, block, and move people. Par Seeker getting into the trenches. Center and guards.
It doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean.
By the way, I played center for like a dozen years. I'd never once in 12 years of every level, I never had a false start as a center.
You know,
how many state majors had in his career?
Early in the season, he had them like at least one every week, and then he's gotten better. But he had another one tonight. Like, how does that happen?
I mean, look, I'm just a high school player, but like every time it happens, I'm like, I don't get it. How did the center just commit a pre?
It's the one that shouldn't, right? Like that, yeah. In your mind as a football fan,
the damn play,
it's the one player on the field that should never have a false start.
I didn't know that was possible.
I mean, because if you don't move, everybody else is moving. Well, if you snap it too early, it's not a false start. So how does that happen? I don't know.
Even if you're watching by yourself, that never happens without somebody screaming at the TV or screaming at the game. How does the center get a false start? It really is one of the most baffling things in football.
Chad, I have snapped the ball early before.
That's not a penalty, though.
No, I know. Like I'm telling you, there are things I've done.
It's not smart, catch.
It's not advisable.
I have the call is like on 2, and I snap the ball on 1. The quarterback's not ready for it. Like I've done that, but I have never committed a fault. I didn't know that a center could do that, and I definitely didn't know that a center could.
I've seen him like twitch the ball, and they'll call him on that. I don't know if that's what the call was tonight. I didn't see it that closely, but that's the only time
I really want to know how many penalties. I got to go to like Pro Football Focus, and see how many times Majors is, because I don't remember Majors really being called for holding all year, but I think he got called for a half dozen false starts.
Damn. All right, before we get to the next super chat, I just wanted to double check here. We got Anwar. We got just under 20 super chats. I know there's been crazy weather and everything, and the travel's been a little iffy at times. You good to power through these?
It's up to you. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. You guys are the one that got to get thrown out.
He is not partying with Billy Lucci apparently at Texas Live.
Well, that too. Like if there's a Billy Lucci party to get to, we don't want to keep you from that.
I'll text Billy now and see what he's doing.
And he may leave in 10 minutes.
Okay, you let us know. You let us know. In fact, if you just give us the.
I'm gonna text Billy and see what he's doing.
There you go. $9.99 from Oscar. Sark, man. Why? Just take the 3 points. Oscar can't get rid of it. Make it 21-17. Let your defense come through. Quinn was dialed. Why put him in that situation? Yeah, it's before that, Oscar. I think that the key moment is before that. By the time you get to that moment, I think it's something a little bit different. But we get it. We get the frustration. There are going to be a lot of fans that are like you that wanted 21-17. Kirk says for $9.99, man, I hated to see Quinn go out like that.
I agree. You know what? Listen, quarterbacks are always going to get beat on pretty badly if they don't necessarily play well. But, Quinn's handled himself really well in some really tough situations, including having people cheering for Arch when Quinn gets hurt, just some real shitty situations. He's handled himself like a pro. Hate to see him go out like that, just the way this game ended. Yeah.
You know what? I agree. But you know what? It's probably a good fresh start for everybody. I think it'll be good for Quinn. It could be good for the fan base. Like, I think he needs to get somewhere where he doesn't feel like I'm somewhere that no one wants me to be, and the fans can finally have what they want, which is Arch. And I think it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Can I give a slightly different response to that?
Sure.
Who doesn't? I feel bad for everybody. I think I feel slightly worse for better players than Quinn. Like, I feel bad for Kelvin Banks. Like, that guy was legitimately great tonight. I think about it. Anybody come from Kelvin Banks' side tonight and cause any disruption? Like, he was awesome in another big game. Jahdae Barron, a big part of this story is Jeremiah Smith gets one catch for 3 yards, and it's like him, Makuba. And look, those guys made some plays in the game that weren't good. They were all on the field for the screenplay that goes 75. But I think about the best players on this team that won't ever play a college football game again. Kelvin Banks is the best player on this team. He just is. And his career in a Texas uniform ended tonight, even if after the game he said he hasn't made a decision on what he'll do. No, bro, we know that. Yeah. So I feel bad for Quinn, and I feel bad for the entire team. And I feel bad for the coaches. And as I stated earlier, I really feel bad for Texas fans, those that have traveled and gone to every game. And just, tonight sucks. But Quinn is not the person I feel the worst for. Not that it matters. But there's a lot. I think if we're going to say, I feel bad for Quinn that it ended this way, let's shout out the other great players.
Well, I would say this too. Catch some of the guys who I saw after the games who were the most emotional. The two were Michael Taft and Gunnar Helm. And I'm talking about from just pure, just emotional pouring out. It was like
we saw the video of Taft.
Did you?
Yeah,
there was like a photographer. There was a photographer that started yelling at him, not to stop filming him.
I think Bob Ballou's reporter had it because he tweeted it out.
Yeah,
and I was like, it was something else to see.
Yeah, it was sad. I was saying there was some guy who was there was a photographer who kind of does UT stuff that was like yelling at the person to stop filming it. But they were, which is ironic because that's all that person did was film everything and kind of chronicle the loss. But it's not his job. But you know how some of those people are like, stop it, it's what he should do it. Like, it's like, all right, dude, all right. We know you like to kiss ass, and you feel like you're part of the team, but you're not. Like, calm down. Like, you're gonna get a check, and then a year from now they're gonna have layoffs and you're gonna be done. So just relax.
Wow.
So
wow, I wish I had a beer. I really wish I had a beer to toast.
Just saying, like, know your role, buddy. A year from now, they're gonna have layoffs. But those guys, it looked like they lost the state championship. Catch those tears where it's like that. We just lost state, and it's just like we'll never get back here again. That's what those tears were like.
Yeah.
I can go home now, Chad.
There it is. That's it.
Anwar, I literally, before you came on, I asked Chad, hey, have you ever seen Friday Night Lights, the movie? Because I was telling him that the thing that movie captures is the despair when they fall 1 yard short of the goal line, and guys are on the 1 yard line in tears and like inconsolable. And that's what the Taft thing reminded me of.
Yes.
And so we literally brought up the Odessa Permian Dallas Carter game. So thank you. You and I, baby, we are on the same page.
I covered high school sports for years, and I know what those tears look like, and it's a hard. You see a bunch of 17-year-old people crying like babies, like I've seen it.
We got a $10 from Chris jumping in again. This is y'all got to help me on this one. Sark made a promise to Quinn, and his promises are the basis of his credibility as a recruiter. I fear. Anybody want to unlock that one for me? Feels like there's multiple
Chris, I don't think you need to. I feel him. I know what he's saying.
I don't well, you can tell the rest of us. I don't really know what he's saying, but maybe he made a promise to Quinn as a recruit saying, you're going to be my guy no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
Like
he's
over promises.
I think he's saying he made that promise at the expense of doing what's best for the team.
Right.
And I don't think that this is a thing that over the next 10 years or 5 years or whatever, I think this is a really unique situation. And of all of the things that I worry about in the future, and including, I don't know that they're going to be any better. They may be a little bit better, but like substantially better in the red zone next year, 1st and goal at the 1. Do I definitely believe? I don't even know what the offensive line is going to look like. So although maybe they could use that kid from USC that they're bringing in this weekend for a portal visit. That guy could have started tonight, I fear. Chris, again, I feel you. I know what you're saying, but I think it's not – it's like 158th on the list of things that I think moving forward you should be worried about.
Yeah. Chris, thank you for that super chat. Here's another $10 super chat. This one's from Patrick. Proud of the way Texas played tonight. Apart from 2 plays, they went toe-to-toe with Ohio State. Anwar, I said it earlier, I thought we got cheated out of what we got last night because it felt like it was about to be 21-all, and we were about to see these two go at it. So much talent on the field. I wanted 4 more close minutes. Texas obviously couldn't figure it out. And it's so wild. People are keep bringing this up, whether however you want to, call it the blitz and the pitch is what somebody sent us earlier in a chat. It really is going to be about 2 plays for a lot of Texas fans. I think that's what they're going to see when they go to bed tonight. That's what the nightmare is going to be tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you always say, you don't want the game to come down to 1 or 2 plays, but like it kind of does come down sometimes to 1 or 2 plays. Like if you make that just that simple play just right before halftime, everything's probably different. Like your whole dynamics are different. It just sometimes it's just those little things, those little margins that make the difference. That was the difference in this game. I mean, a lot of things were equal, but those things, those little things that Texas has been kind of good at throughout the year, that it didn't happen today and it caught up with them.
Yeah, and I talked about in the pregame show today how important I thought tackling was in this game. Ohio State is such a strike-quick team. We've seen them with big explosive plays.
They're aggressive.
Golly, they will come get you.
Better tonight.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
They will come. Yeah. And they did that as well. Plus, in that big moment, that's the moment where all you got to do, it sounds easy, but all you got to do is find a way to get Henderson on the ground there, and they just couldn't figure it out. Justin, $10. Sark needs to hit the portal, pick up Scattaboo. He would have gotten in. Wow. Sark needs to utilize everything in his game. It's not about people's feelings in the NFL. They will be hurt. They're paid to play and win. Interesting. Is that Justin making a reference to maybe Sark going to the NFL? Am I reading that right? Or I'm not following all that, Justin. All right, but there you go. Saying Scattaboo might have gotten in. Okay. Craig with a $10 super chat. Arkansas might beat us next year, and how sad would that be? Anwar, can you imagine how far we would have fallen if that happens? I think it could be a possibility.
Wow, that's just a random loss that you've put on the schedule.
What a weird conclusion to draw out of tonight's game. What?
I like it, and it's a. But you know what? He's going to
may be a preseason number 1, and he just has them losing to Arkansas randomly in the middle of the season. Okay,
you know who Arch loses to at home? Arkansas. Book it. That's what I thought watching tonight. Huh? What? Okay.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
okay.
it is. Hey,
Well,
you
just
know.
but bookmark it and come back to us later.
Brad with a $9.99. Fun fact: Quinn's first and last throws as a Horn are interceptions.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but it's true. His first ever pass at Texas was an interception.
It's a technicality, but that counts as an interception tonight or a fumble recovery.
No, remember he had an interception
threw
on
the
the last
down
drive after
pick
the
him.
fumble.
Oh, my bad. My
Yeah.
bad. Across the middle. You're right. Sorry. I was thinking of the Sawyer play. Okay. Yes, you are. You're
Caleb
correct,
Downs
Brad.
didn't really make a play for 55 minutes, and then he made 2 massive ones.
Yeah, right. He was the guy that he was the first guy that sniffed out that incredible pitch play. He wasn't the last one, but he was the first one. He was absolutely there for that. James in big capital letters with $9.99. It was a good ride, fellas. I'll see you all on Monday. Reminds me of the Cowboys days when they lost. Turn off all sports. Andrew, call it a night. Rogue Shop. James headed for some Rogue Shop tonight. Hey, reminder, James, we will, of course, have Orange Bloods live for you on Monday. But also, fellas, we still good for a little noon tomorrow? A little recap of what happened? Little no, is that not? No.
Maybe if Texas
No.
Enjoy your
Texas-
Saturday, Chad.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Oh, okay. All right. No
The
Saturday
meet-
show.
In the
All right.
meeting, we said if they won, we would do that.
Oh, that's an if we
This
want.
is the
Gotcha.
same
Okay.
guy that said, "Hey, let's do a recruiting hour at 9 a.m. on New Year's Day." I'm like, "No, we're recording that the day before."
I'm sorry. Okay. Yes.
Chad, you're about to see how interested people are in our content over the next few weeks. We'll see most of them probably in the spring.
James, we appreciate your support, and we will see you on Monday for Orange Bloods Live. Like, subscribe, get those notifications, and check out all the great content. We appreciate you. All right, powering through the super chats here. Let's see. Let's just grab this one real quick, get it out of the way. Got it all game. Quinn balled out. So
He didn't, though.
No,
Yeah, no.
I mean, he wasn't bad necessarily, but he didn't ball
Right,
out. He
maybe
missed
not.
some throws
I mean,
he
Texas
didn't
scored 14 points. Like, we do this thing with Quinn.
Yeah, we can't do that.
We've done it. We did it after the A&M game, right? It was just like, no, you can't.
131.7 passer rating is not balling out. A fumble return for a touchdown is not balling out.
Yep.
I'm sorry, like Quinn and Quinn played well. Like there were moments where I thought he was great, but he didn't ball out. You guys score more than 14 points as an offense for your quarterback to be able to say they balled out. If Lamar Jackson and the Ravens score 14 points tomorrow against the Steelers and they lose, you see what I'm doing there for you, Jason?
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Let me
Appreciate
tell you
the
what they won't say about Lamar Jackson in Baltimore is that they balled out. They just
You're
won't.
probably right.
Like, so let's not do that.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
We lose onward.
Yeah, Anwar's just got to jump out real quick. He said he will be right back. Let's go. Google Scholar, $4.99. Quinn balled out. That's 2 of them. 2 big splash plays made the differences. Plus Cam got his ass whipped all night. They
That's
play
basically the same as those.
Christ,
guy,
what
yeah.
would we have said if they had scored 21?
That play before half reminded me of 2018 USC. Boy, that's going way back. I don't know the play you're referencing there, Google Scholar. But okay, there you go. A couple of Quinn balled out. Hey, that's maybe how they saw it. This is
If he balled out, what do we call Vince Young in 2006?
Superman.
Change the scope of the game. I don't know. Coaching cost the Horns 14 points. That's been discussed. RH. We know the plays.
Yeah, okay,
right. Both of them right before.
I was thinking offensive. Yeah,
that's fair. Let's see, a $4.99 from. He's going for the corner. Speaking of Vince, ACC refs were atrocious. They should be a G. It should be a G5 conference. It was discussed.
It was bad.
Corner. The fact that you're telling us that they were involved in Miami Duke and Miami Virginia Tech. Like, come on. How does that?
That's the best crew that they have in that conference.
How does that crew end up in either of these games? It just shouldn't happen. Like that doesn't make any sense. What
the
are we
problem,
doing?
though, that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to have forever is that they're going to play a lot of these. We're going to in all these playoff games moving forward. We are going to see a lot of Big Ten versus SEC matchups, which means
you can't
you're
have
going to get a lot
two.
of terrible officiating crews.
That is a detail I hadn't thought of, and now you just made me sad thinking of it. So when it's when it's Big Ten versus SEC in a playoff game, you can't have either of those conferences represented.
I would assume not
in the officiating. So we're
I
going
think it was Big 12 did the game last night. Is that right? Yeah, it was Big 12 did the game last night. And actually, I thought they did a pretty good job.
That's gross. That's gross. I hadn't thought of it. That's a detail I don't even want to think about. Craig with a $5 super chat. Sark is an issue. He has been and will be. Hide and ignore if you want, but he should be indicted for some of his play calls. Whoa.
I mean, it does have Texas in the college football semifinals. They were.
This is therapy for people, Jason. You just gotta let them get it out.
Hey guys, we've done this for a long time. It's 11:52 on a Friday night. I'm Craig. Craig, I'm going to give you a free one. Tell us how much you've had tonight.
Yeah,
I'm not judging you. I understand. I'm a man of the people, and even though I don't drink, I have run a message board for 25, actually longer than that.
Well, I've already banned a few people to catch during our show, so it's one of those nights.
Craig might already be passed out while we were talking.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that Craig saw us answer this super chat.
No, Craig may not be. If you're watching, God love you. Please let us know how far in you are. Here's a weird one from Oscar. Just $1.99 and Arch. I need no fumbles next season, please. All right,
I think we'd all take that.
Okay, there you go, Oscar. Thank you for that. Just a weird request for your quarterback next year. Oh Lord, the Opinion Sports Show jumping in $4.99. Let's face facts. Texas benefited from easy schedule when they played teams who could fight back. They got beat and needed the refs' help to beat Arizona State. All right.
He's an Oklahoma fan.
Yeah, just move on.
That is also true.
You read it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Barb's because I'd mentioned coming up here for March Madness. Yeah.
There he goes. I got you both. Say the word. I'll pay up for Alex, fellas. Yes.
I didn't know what he meant by that when
funny.
I thought originally. He's talking about the bet that Alex and I made. That means Catch has to come in. We need to get Dustin McComas, everybody.
There you go. Yeah. There it is. Barb's 10.
Everybody but Alex. He's invited.
Yes, exactly. $5 from Justin. Should have used Arch in the goal line situation. Underutilized Arch yet again. It's about winning, not about Quinn's feelings. You're a team. There's no I in team. Justin, it has been discussed tonight.
There shouldn't be an I in there, by the way. Justin as well. So.
Oh my God, Jason Sukamel, grammar teacher. I was not.
My kids hate it when I do that.
I didn't know that was going to be my favorite part of the postgame show.
I'm an editor by trade to some.
That's awesome.
One of my many hats.
One Tree Killer. That's a great name. $5 super chat. Also, if running an option pitch, don't just immediately pitch it. Got to sell the quarterback run, but they blew up the blocking.
I don't think that was an option at all.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. I think you're giving them a little credit that you think that was an option play. It did not feel like an option play. Let's see. Let's grab this one. We got three more here. $1.99. Hire an OC. It's not going to happen. Michael, it's not going to happen. That is not happening. Oscar, one more time, $4.99. I'll say one thing not being talked about enough is the drops by wide receivers.
Now that's fair.
Bond had a terrible one.
Yes.
Right. Gunnar Helm, but that ball Gunnar shouldn't have had to go up for that one that he dropped.
Bond was the why are you jumping?
Right.
Shouldn't have dropped.
Golden should have
Helms
caught that one, right?
Golden had one. And you know what? Anwar, you were there watching it live.
Ohio State had some.
How many total did you see both sides? Like that early Jeremiah Smith in the end zone play.
They dropped two touchdowns on the opening drive.
Right? Like I thought that's up high, but he can make that catch. We all know that. And Tate at the goal line. Yeah. Holy smoke. If they lose,
scored anyways, but yeah.
If Ohio State loses that game, do you realize?
No, they scored like the next play though.
Yeah. Right, but I'm saying if they don't score there and Ohio State, oh my God, he can't go back to Columbus because those fans are insane.
Yeah, there were a lot of drops from both sides of the ball. But a couple of the ones on the Texas side.
That many drops though. I mean, there were two in the third quarter.
Terrible.
Yeah. I would say it's more than I expected. Anwar, you were there watching. More than I expected to see in a game of this quality.
Sure.
Yeah,
because Bonds was on a third down play too, right? So that was the catastrophe.
I don't know what that was from Bond. He was literally by himself, and he literally threw the ball into his face.
He made the kid in the yard mistake. We've all, or at least I know I made it when I was a kid. You play in football in the yard, you jump when you shouldn't jump because you think it looks cool. You think you're like, I'm acting like Drew Pearson. So
why
I want to
does
be
jumping cause you to fumble the ball in midair, and like that was Keystone Cop stuff. But
because
that was
it's
the most egregious drop of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it just screws with your
Well,
timing
that one and the
sometimes.
one that Ohio
and
State had in the end zone, but didn't.
I'm just talking about
Yeah.
from the Texas side.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
actually, as bad as that was, it wasn't worse than the Tate drop in the end zone. Just
Yeah,
because
no, you're right about that. Yeah.
one was a first down, the other would have been a touchdown.
Oh my God. Yeah, those were bad. And one more super chat. Let's finish with Colin and some nice words for $5. Gentlemen, thanks for being there for us all year. Can't wait till next year. I've had my feel. Love the show.
Yeah, thank
Colin,
you, Colin. Good way to wrap it up.
thank you very much. We
Man,
appreciate
it
you.
has to suck having the same last name as a guy that won the game for the other team.
Yeah, it's not good.
Like if that had been Jack Ketchum,
Yeah,
that it's not like if I was just a regular guy, like all your friends would just text message you and be like, screw you and you're in the Downs family.
yeah. If the last play had been made by Alex Hastings, y'all wouldn't have even let me on the post.
No, exactly. We'd have been like,
right.
Chad's band.
Yes,
Done.
get this one out.
Yeah, we're out of here. All right, fellas. Anything else before we wrap it up? Texas falls to Ohio State 28-14. Anybody else got anything they want to say?
Nope. Great
Good.
work, you guys.
I can do a final statement. Yeah. Let me give me 60 seconds.
Final statement from Jeff Ketchum. Get ready, kids.
First of all, thanks to Adam Lowy for being the sponsor for another season. He's just been so good to us and so loyal as an Orange Blood sponsor in the post-game show. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention again, if you need an accident or injury lawyer in the city of Austin and all those billboards don't convince you that the guy's been making a bunch of money in cases, and like I'm just telling you, he's going to get you paid, and he's good people, and he's an Orange Blood. He's one of you. I love Adam Lowy. Thank you. As it relates to Texas, tomorrow when everybody wakes up, remember where you were 3 or 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Like really, it's late. It's midnight. So I'm not asking you to have reflection now, but tomorrow, as bad as tonight hurts, keep in mind that you've got a team next year that's going to be a preseason top 3 team, maybe preseason number 1. You're the only team in college football that's been in the semifinals 2 years in a row. Sarkisian just signed the number 1 recruiting class in the country. This is a football program with a million more things going for it in the right direction, in the right way, than it has things going in the wrong direction in the wrong way. For all of the red zone, for all of the play calling, for all of the nitpicks, it is a program that the only thing that didn't happen tonight is Texas didn't kick the door down and put themselves on the level of Ohio State and Georgia. That's it. They are still a rung below those two programs. And moving forward, the goal remains. You got to knock that door down. That's the goal. You have to get back. You have to do what Michigan did last year, which is galvanize yourself over the disappointment of a semifinal loss and let that be the war cry, the rallying cry for a team that's going to be expected to do really, really well. Texas will be back in the playoffs next year. They will. Sports Opinion Show is ridiculous if he thinks that they won't. They will go into next year with one of the three most talented teams in the country. And they'll be back. And who knows? Maybe Sark's just one. I mean, we've seen it, right? You think about a guy like Andy Reid. You're the guy that can't win the big game until you win your first one. And then these things have a way of like potentially stacking up. Texas will get another chance. And I think that when you wake up tomorrow, don't act like you're a fan of the Texas A&M or Oklahoma football programs. You're not. You're not. You're not. You just had one of the best seasons in the history of your school. You're the last SEC team standing in your first year of the SEC. Know who you are. It's okay to be mad about tonight. I get it. But know who you are, appreciate who you are, because you're going to have people in other schools try to tear you down and make your weekend worse and try to make the offseason worse by somehow painting this as the worst thing that's ever happened, an indictment on where Texas is, and it's not. The indictment is Texas isn't yet Ohio State or Georgia. They're not. Those are the 3 losses they picked up this year. They're to the best and most talented teams in the 2 most talented teams in college football are the 2 teams that Texas lost to, at least on paper going into the season. Chad, my super blue chip rankings. Ohio State was 1, Georgia was 2, Texas was 3.
Yep.
And Texas lost to 2 and 1. Next year, Texas might be in the top 2. So there's just so much good going on. Like, remember that when you put your head on the pillow tonight, you're upset because your team didn't essentially win the Super Bowl.
12:15 a.m.
All right, we did have another $50 super chat come in before that. Anwar, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No. No. As I start talking,
Not
no.
really, but
I think that they're telling people. So they have a media shuttle that runs to a hotel.
we clearing the building here.
They're not yet. I think it
Oh,
goes
okay.
until 2 a.m. But I
okay.
drove my car.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I think just along the lines of catch, though. I think about all the teams that I've covered since I've been here, and the last 2 years has been an amazing 2-year stretch that just about the majority of programs in America would kill to have. Just the overwhelming majority of programs would kill to have. And so I think Catch is correct. Like you're as a Texas fan, you're going to hear shit from A&M fans. You're going to hear shit from Oklahoma fans because they're going to be excited about something that happened that they were not able to do. Right. And so they'll look for ways to kind of tear you down. But when you go to the Final Four in basketball, no one says you had a failure of a season. Everybody understands that you had one hell of a season. And if you're able to make it to the championship game, that's even better. But no one says the number 4 team sucked. And that was just a failure. No one said when Duke makes it to the Final Four, that was a failure. North Carolina made the Final Four, that was a failure. So I think, there's something to be said of it while it's disappointing in the moment. I think this has been a good season for Texas. I think there's still a lot of sustainability here. Sark has proven that this is not one and done, but we've seen this back-to-back years, double-digit seasons. And then there's stuff to look forward to because, the transfer portal is going to be there. There's going to be, we'll see who does or doesn't come back, right? And then, next year, or I guess it's this year, starts the year of Arch. And this is the thing that everyone's been waiting for. And trust me, the hype, the excitement, whatever you thought it was going into this year will be even more magnified. So right now, I get it. You're down. But when the Arch hype starts when we start winter conditioning and you start getting your Arch reports, trust me, you're going to be pumped up and excited once again. So I think no matter what, they were able to get as far as they were able to get. I think it's a fantastic season. Nothing to be ashamed of. Ohio State is a effing good team, and Texas is one as well. But hey, to the victor goes the spoils. But I just want to say I think it's a hell of a season. It is sure as hell. I can tell you this: Ketch and I have done shows that are going into midnight for far worse results, for far shittier years. So there's nothing to be upset about.
2 things. One, Anwar literally just pulled a catch. I don't really have anything to say. 5-minute dissertation. Well done, Anwar. We have never been more alike in our entire lives than you saying, nah, I don't have anything to say. And then like, that was beautiful, but it started with, I don't really want to talk. Number 2, Duty. It's 12:05 and you're in our YouTube chat. Who cares? You care. I mean, you're literally here along with 3,000 other people. So the answer to your own question, Duty, is you.
All right, real quick before we get out of here, thank you for another 50 spot. Guy is still processing. 1 yard divided by 4 plays is 9 inches of play. If you line your 6'4", 220-pound quarterback up under center and push 4 times, you will score. If not, you leave Ohio State with the ball on the 1-inch line. Fellas, the Philadelphia Eagles have ruined football for fans because now they're just thinking of the push play for everything. Guy, we thank you for
He's not wrong.
$49.99.
I was going to say,
wrong.
and
Yeah, he's not wrong.
yes,
Guy, you are not wrong. And I think every one of us and maybe every one of you thought of number 16 when they got into that situation. If you're going to go with a specialized run package, we'd seen them do it multiple times during this season, including tonight, and they just didn't get to it there. All right, we will wrap it up. Safe travels to Anwar and all of you that might be up in Arlington, headed back down to Austin or wherever it is you're going to. Safe travels. It is cold and maybe rainy and maybe snowy out there, depending on where you are. So please be careful. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications. Thanks to over 3,000 of you that are in the Specs chat as we get ready to close up. I'll give 2 more thanks. Thanks to Specs for a great partnership. They bring you the chat all the time. Get the Specs, get stocked up, because you got NFL wildcard stuff to watch for the next 3 days. And a big thanks to this logo back here behind us, TCH Social Austin. Unfortunately, there's not a watch party on the 20th, but we have really loved being here. Come check out TCH Social Austin, 183 and Anderson Mill if you have not done that. It is a great place. You don't have to be, if you're into poker, it's certainly a place you want to come check out. But if you just want to come hang and watch sports and have some incredible food, you can do that as well. And let's give you one more reminder about Hijack Poker. Jeff Ketchum loves this. You will too. If you are an online poker player, Hijack Poker.
Chad.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as online poker players. That's the beauty of Hijack. They brought it back. There's an entire generation of poker players that have no idea what it's like to play online poker. So This is a creation. They've brought it back. They've brought the thing that defined my 2000s back.
It's back.
It
is back for all of you.
This is special. There's not anything like this that I've seen or heard about in any other state anywhere. Texas Card House has brought back online gambling poker that you can play on your phone. So there are people who literally don't know what we're talking about. And I'm telling you, download the app and use the OB20 referral code and get addicted. Because if you like gambling, like daily fantasy and prize picks, you're going to love Hijack.
There you have it. And you can get that app, put it on any device you want. And again, big thanks to TCH Social Austin for having us out for all these great watch parties. And we will keep that content rolling for you on Monday, starting with Anwar, 9 a.m. with the old fashioned. We got, obviously, we know recruiting never stops, recruiting never dies, and it is coming very quickly. We'll have the recruiting show for you. We'll have House Divided with Ketch and me, Football with Friends, Alex and Cody. Thanks for checking out the channel. And remember, if you didn't like on the way in, go ahead and like on the way out. If you're not subscribing, go ahead and do that as well.
Ask TCH if we can do a watch party for the national championship game.
I will. I'll ask.
Okay. Yeah, we'll ask. Why not?
I haven't had a chance to go one time.
Anwar, here's what I'll say. I'm not that thrilled about watching Notre Dame play Ohio State, but if I can come here and have some bad beat bacon, we have a watch party, I'll do it.
I'm not saying we have to do a show. I just want free shit.
No. If I can show up, if I can have some bad beat bacon and a well-priced electric jellyfish, then I wouldn't even care if Ohio State or Notre Dame won, because I'm not rooting for either one.
If I don't have to do a show, I'm going to drink about a dozen of those jellyfish. So let's do it.
There you go.
I got some catching up to do.
We introduced multiple people to the jellyfish tonight.
Hey, Mark. So is being an asshole in a YouTube chat after midnight. Just so you know.
How dare you, Mark? How dare you? All right, everybody have a safe evening. Enjoy your NFL football, and make sure to check out orangebloods.com and Orange Bloods Live. Y'all take care, and We thank you for joining us for another post-game show. Thanks to Lowy Law Firm, as Ketch mentioned. Y'all take care. See ya.